Good lessons from bad bosses. Among the dozens of workplace troubles, having a bad boss is probably the worst that can happen to any employee. And typical textbook definitions of a bad boss are one who screams, threatens, intimidates, disrespects, grabs credit, fires people, throttles people's necks, and so on. Bad bosses exist in all organizations, though the definition of a bad boss, or a bad employee, is a vague and subjective term that can be debated to eternity depending on whose side you lean on an issue. In fact, the more competitive and stressful the organization, the more you see and hear stories about such executives. Nobody likes working for a bad boss, and most would gladly jump ship at the first chance of escape, even if they are passionate about their work. Long ago, a classmate of mine quit an extremely reputed scientific institute unable to work for a toxic chemistry professor, though he was ready to sacrifice an arm and a leg for chemistry. But what can you do if you don't get any alternate jobs to escape your toxic workplace? The answer is to see how you can use this to your advantage. Many executives are not aware of how to gain some valuable life lessons from the idiosyncrasies of a bad boss. Though you may have to endure some ulcers, gloominess, and hair loss due to a bad boss, there are some ways to turn this situation to your future benefit. For this, you have to start looking at your situation in a peculiar way. Instead of craving for a pleasant workplace every day, just think unconventionally and start imagining your office as a training institute to learn some exciting lessons in behavioral psychology. Instead of worrying, assume that you are undergoing a training course in hardships. So, until you can escape to a better workplace, or until the bad boss self-destructs, you can continuously imbibe several valuable lessons. Here is how you can do it. A bad boss can be a walking textbook on what not to do when you become a manager in the future. Working with a bad boss is your golden chance to learn the do's and don'ts of management. In all probability, you can learn more about people management working with a bad boss in 6 months' time than working with a good boss for 5 years. Bad bosses help you learn the harsh realities of human nature and make you better prepared for life's countless encounters. You swim better when you learn to swim in a rough river or sea, rather than in a calm swimming pool. Every growl, rude remark, goof up, threat, cover up, charm switching, etc., can be a good lesson that is going to pay rich dividends to you at a later stage. They help you become a better manager at a later stage because you will now have a rich experience in the pitfalls of bad management. It helps you to instantly remember and avoid the wrong things when faced with similar or equivalent situations. For example, it may help you remember that it's not a good idea to throw a paperweight on an employee who is a member of the local trade union. And bad bosses help you in many other ways if you study their lives carefully. For example, it will help you understand how and why many employees erupt like a volcano at home due to work-related problems. Worldwide, Many ordinary people have become great leaders because they were subject to various degrees of insults or extreme forms of harassment by someone. So, directly or indirectly, every great leader will have to thank their tormentors for their current greatness. Similarly, it can also perhaps make you a great manager someday. Some of the other useful concepts and valuable lessons you can learn from a bad boss are: if your current boss is always breathing down your neck, then you will learn not to micromanage your future team members. If you are capable of doing the job and yet your manager does not trust you, then you will learn the importance of trust and delegation. If your manager is always angry or erupts for everything, then you will learn not to bark at employees and insult them. If your manager gives stupid advice due to his authority, then you will realize that you shouldn't become like that and instead gain knowledge to lead your team. If your manager is quick to blame others even when he or she is at fault, you will learn how hazardous office politics, blame games, and finding scapegoats are. If your manager acts more loyal than the king, then you will realize that you should not pretend that you are the only one concerned about the welfare of the organization. So, you now see having a bad boss is not really such a bad thing after all. Now let us listen to some famous quotes. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trials. The difference between a boss and a leader: a boss says, "Go." A leader says, "Let's go." E.M. Kelly. A good leader takes a little more than his share of the blame, a little less than his share of the credit. Arnold H. Glasso. The best way to appreciate your job is to imagine yourself without one, and the best way to appreciate your boss is to imagine yourself with a different one, unknown. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching.